Hail my Taka Legion, and welcome back to my channel. Now, I'm not admitting I'm obsessed with this game, but today we're going to be starting a new series called Reading DBD Profiles So You Don't Have to. We'll be going in order of when each character appeared, and we'll also be alternating between survivors and killers. That means, of course, we have to start with the poster child that no one likes, Dwight Fairfield. Dwight was geeky and scrawny through high school. He always wanted to be one of the cool kids, but somehow never had the charisma. He tried out for the football team but was cut. The basketball team didn't even take a look, and his grades were distinctly below average. One weekend, on a team-building exercise from his dead-end job, Dwight's boss led them deep into the woods before breaking out his family recipe, moonshine. Dwight remembered taking the first sip before waking up late the next morning all alone. During the night, the others had abandoned him. Once again, the laughingstock of the community, Dwight tried to hike his way out of the woods. That was the last anyone ever heard of Dwight Fairfield. So we don't have too much to go on here. So let's go to the next character. And that would be Meg Thomas. Perhaps it was her mother that instilled the fierce streak in her, or maybe it was her father that left them when she was a baby. Meg excelled at schoolwork, but she was off the rails. Fortunately, an athletics coach encouraged her to channel her misspent energy on the track. She motivated herself into becoming a high school star and earned a scholarship to college. When her mother fell ill, Meg decided to give up her chance at college to care for the woman who had raised her. One summer's day, on a long run deep in the woods, Meg vanished. Search as they did, they never found her body. Next is Claudette Morel. From the day that her parents gave Claudette her first science kit, she loved experiments. Her single-minded pursuit led to an early scholarship at a great college. It was a huge decision to leave Montreal, but the chance was too good to pass up. Her introverted nature meant that chat rooms and forums were now her best source of social interaction. Her new favorite activity was to answer botany questions for others under the moniker of Science Girl. One evening, during a long bus ride back from the city, Claudette took a stroll that would change her life. It only took a minute for her to get completely disoriented in the thick woods. She never found her way back. Her forum only started to wonder where she was a week after she stopped posting. And finally, I believe Jake is the last of the OG survivors. Growing up the son of a wealthy CEO was always going to put pressure on Jake Park. When his brother graduated with honors from Yale, the pressure on Jake intensified. Jake just wasn't the academic type, but his father never really understood his refusal to embrace the expensive education he lavished upon him. Eventually, Jake rebelled by dropping out of school entirely. Now, Jake lives off the grid on the edge of the woods. It's been years since he spoke to his father, but his mother checks in once in a while. It was she who eventually called the police. The cops said he got lost in the woods, and a search party looked for days, but gave up as bad weather rolled in. Despite passionate pleas from his mother, they never resumed the search, and Jake went down in history as another casualty of the woods. And then the original four killers, I believe. The Trapper. Evan Macmillan idolized his father. It wasn't just that he was heir to a great fortune. It was the way he ran the estate. Raised under his firm hand, Evan had taken to running the workforce with an iron fist. Production was always high, and the Macmillan estate prospered under father and son. As Archie Macmillan's mental health slowly degenerated, Evan protected him from the herd who wanted a piece of the fortune. No matter what his father asked of him, Evan would do. When Archie Macmillan finally snapped, Evan became his enforcer in what would become known as the worst mass murder in modern history. They never proved that Evan led over 100 men into those dark tunnels before detonating the explosives and sealing them to their fate. The tale of the Macmillan estate is a tale of wealth and power gone very wrong. How many victims fell to the hands of father and son is unknown. No record was ever made of what became of Evan Macmillan. His father is another unsolved puzzle, found in the basement of his own warehouse, dead and abandoned. The Wraith. Philip Ajomo came to this country without anything other than hope for a new beginning. He was happy as he got offered a job at Autohaven Wreckers, a small scrapyard where bribed cops turned a blind eye on the somewhat shady business that took place. Ajomo didn't care. He had seen criminal activity up close in his homeland, and as long as he didn't get involved, he let things be. He just fixed cars and handled the crusher, something he did really well. A car went in, a small, metallic cube came out. It was not until one gloomy day that he, just by accident, saw some blood coming from one of the uncrushed cars. As he opened the trunk, he found a young man, gagged with tied hands and panic-filled eyes. Ajomo freed the man, who managed to run 10 feet before Ajomo's boss stopped him and slit his throat. As Ajomo demanded answers, he was explained that he'd been nothing more than a simple executioner, as more or less every car had a soul in them. This was a service the scrapyard provided to certain clients. Ajomo snapped and went ballistic. He threw his boss in the crusher and let it slowly compress. As the head stuck out, Ajomo grabbed it and pulled head and spine out of the body. Then he left and was never seen again. The Hillbilly. The son of wealthy landowners Max and Evelyn Thompson, this unnamed boy was an unwanted child born to savage parents. Hideously disfigured, he was shut away from society. So ashamed they were of their son, they bricked him into a room and fed him through a hole in the wall. When the boy escaped, he took his revenge savagely and terribly, slaughtering the parents who had tortured him instead of raising him. After the deed was done, he continued to live his life at the farm, taking out his deranged violence on the animals that were allowed to run free. As he finally broke free from his shackles, he ran through the cornfields, chasing and slaughtering whatever he could find. They never found the bodies of Max and Evelyn, but they did find tortured and disemboweled animals all over the farm. Coldwind Farm was quickly settled, and the land split up and sold off. There was never a buyer for the farmhouse, perhaps because of that sound of a chainsaw you could hear throughout those hot summer nights. And I believe she is the last of the originals. The Nurse. Sally Smithson came to town with dreams of children's feet and laughter in a wooden home built by her husband, Andrew. And one day, Andrew's foreman had to pay Sally a visit, forever changing her life. With no other option, Sally had to find a way, but the only employment she could get was at the Crotus Pren Asylum. She started at the bottom, doing the hard night shift. Over the years, her mind had reached its limits, decades of seeing horrid things that violate the eyes. Finally, she could not take it anymore, and concepts of purification emerged inside her. As the morning staff arrived one day in September, they found over 50 patients dead in their beds, and 4 staff members also dead. Only Sally had survived the night, but her mind was gone, rocking back and forth nonstop. They got her into an ambulance, but that ambulance never reached the hospital. It was found crashed in a nearby wood, all the staff dead, and Sally nowhere to be found. And there you have the first 8 characters of Dead by Daylight. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next Reading DBD Profiles so you don't have to.